Yeah, well, start first real quick. One, I had no issue really with the LGBTQ other than the fact.
And Dr. Lee Warren, I would like to pose that question to you. The LGBT is very powerful, but why is it that your child, your granddaughter could go in school and be forced to learn about the LGBT movement? And you know what? But they need a permission slip for them to go to the zoo. They need a permission slip for them to go to the planetarium, but they don't need a permission slip from the parent to give authorization to learn about the LGBT movement in Chicago, wherever in the world. Why, in Chicago, why?
And they begin to mold. That's why communism and socialism, these things have been molded. They don't realize what the advantage of freedom and this capitalist system we have, the advantages of it versus what they have anywhere else. Tyranny is evil.
I want to ask you, they have washrooms now, I think, the way if you feeling a certain, whether you feeling like a boy one day or you feeling like a girl one day, you know where you can walk into that washroom. And let me tell people, this is a live television show, and please, I'm encouraging you, asking you humbly, call in with your comments and questions. The number is 312-738-1845. They have washrooms in Chicago Public School where you can walk in whether you feel like a boy or a girl that day.
But as things begin to progress, things change, and that's what you have. That was the penalty.
Well, I was talking anything like that, but I'm not going to, because I've been around. Look, I lived in Chicago for most of my life, all my life. And I used to live on the north side of Chicago. I live now near Addison, but I used to live not too far from Belmont. Belmont. People used to call that Little San Francisco. I know the deal about it. So this was back in the 1980s. So my thing is this, that is your life. Whoever you sleep with, whoever, that's your problem. But the problem I have is that also going back to the washroom thing. They also started this at the U of I back several years ago. At the University of Illinois campus, I witnessed a guy, because I worked there for over 37 years at the University of Illinois. And I was at the hospital as well, so I worked 2 years over at the campus, Circle Campus, And there was a student. I was in the student building. And there was a student, white guy, wearing a ponytail. He went in the women's bathroom, right? And there was a black woman who was an engineer. And she was saying, what's going on? She walked out. I said, what's going on? You okay? He didn't bother you, right? He said, no, he just said hi, and then he just...
You know what? Let me say, strange, we ain't getting no telephone calls, but you know what? This is a live television show. The telephone number is 312-738-1845. See, Randy, I'm squinting my eyes. I need to wipe my glasses.
You're all right, brother. You have much better vision than I do. Brother Lee Warren, were you asking? I'm sorry, I thought you were
my next question too is, I gotta read the numbers, because I'm getting kind of old. I can't keep up like I used to.
Oh, you're sharp.
But I'm letting them know.
You have sharp mind.
Okay.
you don't have to take Prevagen. I'm taking Prevagen and Nariva.
Okay.
And ginseng, go-to cola, and everything else. Keep my mind sharp.
But I want to ask you and Dr. Lee Warren something. There are women that come up missing. You know what? I'm a father. I had daughters. They come up missing in Chicago, like the Bradley sisters, for example. They have been missing for 20 years. And my question is, if Mayor Lightfoot's daughter came up missing, Mayor Emanuel's daughter came up missing, now President Biden's daughter came up missing, there would be an urgency to find them. So why are people like, example, the Bradley sisters, for example, I'm using them as coming up missing, there's not a urgency by the principalities, the police and investigators to find out where they are? I'd like to ask you that.
Well, you're dealing with a social economic problem. Those people that are, should I say, the elite, they have more power than the average person, whether we believe it or not. I mean, if you're chairman of Apple or somebody else, or a high-ranking official somewhere, if you come up missing, you have a little bit more power than the average individual, Joe Blow, that can say, my daughter's missing. See, and then when you look at it from a situation today with morals being so loose, and I don't think parents spend enough time teaching their daughters that
Yeah,
this is not this is not the Leave with Beaver show. This is not the 50s and 60s where you can sleep out in Washington Park.
Yeah.
And that type of thing. So you have a decay in morals. Everybody's loose. See? And you can just look at the TV and see how loose the women is. It look like just whores. I'm gonna tell you just like it is. See, there's no modesty about them at all. See, that's one of the things I hate about rap. It totally demoralizes the moral.
Should not the same emphasis be put on the common citizen opposed to the elite? And we're paying their salaries.
That's never going to be the case.
Okay.
That's never going to be the case in most even if in some of the communist societies.
Okay.
See, if you belong to the Politburo or one of the communist parties, you always had more power than the average Joe Blow.
Yes, sir.
Proletariat in the street. That's always been the case. Whatever system you got, some gonna be on the top and some gonna be on the bottom. And those who are on the bottom, well, then they suffered a lot of consequences.
Okay.
But a lot of things can be avoided with things being taught to the women today that are really not stressed enough that you can't run around in the streets like it was in the 50s.
Okay.
They were running around halfway naked.
And that's what I'm talking about. All this type of stuff. You got a great amount of drugs. See, so it's not like you go into a party in the 50s. Well, very little drugs were available at that time. It wasn't culturally.
Okay.
But then it later came back to be culturally. Well, this brings a lot of problems. See, you got.
Okay.
And Randy, I want to pose the same question to you. Why is there not urgency of when a common person like the Bradley sisters come up missing, but if U.S. President Joe Biden's daughter was missing, or Joe Biden or the police chief, Mr. Brown, Mayor Emanuel's daughter was missing, there would be an urgency.
Well, I understand your concern, but I think that also you have a society that has devalued women. They have no respect for women or children and stuff like that. Do you live in a society where they allow, you tolerate pedophilia, where they tolerate the lack of respect for people based on their color and well as their backgrounds, your economic, social backgrounds and stuff. So you live in a society. Basically, it's a plutocracy.
I don't know what plutocracy means.
It's a government run by the wealthy. You have basically the elites, the super rich, and others who don't care. Because if Buffy and Joey came up missing, whatever, that was part of a rich family like the Rockefellers, the Marshfield family, or the Astors, or the Priskers, whatever, they immediately would be found. But see, because these are working class people, they don't care. And plus, also, a lot of people don't think that, but there's a lot of kind of human organ trafficking and stuff like that that's going on where they're being kidnapped and they're being killed and stuff like that. You got the sex, you got the
I was going to come to that next.
The prostitution,
sex trafficking,
and sex trafficking. Then you got the prostitution. Then also you live in a culture that promotes the pimp culture, the pimp and the stripper culture. You're like with the rappers and stuff like that. That's why I was with when I grew up in the 70s, 80s. When I was listening to the rappers, I was into the Public Enemy, X Clan, Brand Nubian, KRS-One. You see what I'm saying? Rakim. Those were the more conscious rappers and stuff. But then you had the white folks, the whites who controlled much of the industry. They introduced the whole pimp and other culture, stripper culture and stuff, because you didn't have people that looked like Cat Williams. If you go and look at them Friday movies, Ice Cube films, you had Killer Mike. You had the guy, the Mike, Pimp Mike, Pimpin' Mike. And then you had the guy Bishop Don Juan. He was in one of those Friday films.
Right,
he's still alive.
Yes, he's still alive.
Yeah.
So now he's a bishop now. But you had the promotion of the pimp culture, the pimp whore stripper culture by this society and stuff like that. Then they try to make it appear that they're opposed to it, but they support it.
Right.
And but think about the men of our brothers and sisters are not into it. You're dealing with a small group, but think about but you have the media and the press to amplify it, right? You got social media now and TikTok and all that also amplify and promote this stuff, and then it makes it appear that it's much larger than it is. So my thing is this: we need to get back to basic values and learn and start promoting decent lifestyles and healthy lifestyles and stuff. That's the reason why, because we're living in basically this is orchestrated chaos. This social chaos that we're experiencing, that we're seeing, is orchestrated, it's manufactured by outside forces.
I want to say something. You know what? This is a live television show, and the telephone number is 312-738-1845.